Hi guys, my name's Harper. I'm 19 now, and a year ago I got a ridiculous tattoo done on the craziest part of my body to piss my parents off. My parents were always really strict, like super strict. I couldn't hang out with certain friends because they had a bad influence on me. I had no sleepovers. I always had to be home by 6 p.m. I mean, if I was late by 10 minutes, I'd be grounded for a week. Everybody was enjoying their time, partying, socializing, exploring different places, and finding themselves. And I was sitting with my parents eating dinner in silence while they talk about what they saw on the news. And what infuriated me the most was that they were completely different with my brother. He'd go to parties and he'd stay out with his friends overnight. They'd keep telling me it's not how girls should act. Girls should stay humble and pure. Yeah, right. So when I reached 18, I just snapped. It started with small things. They usually controlled how I dressed. They had to approve every little thing I wore to school. So I'd put revealing clothes in my backpack and I'd change in the school bathroom. It felt so good to finally break out of my shell that I started to do more things that I'd like. Like I'd lie to them, and instead of studying in the library, I'd go to the mall and meet my friends. But like back then, I tried to keep little rebellion a secret until they found out. I mean, during the parent-teacher conference, my teacher told them that my clothes look outrageous, so they went full-on dictatorship on me. Every morning, they searched my backpack, throwing all the things on the table, checked my phone and messages. They asked me to take pictures of where I was and who I was with anytime they asked. I just couldn't take it anymore. And this is where it all got crazy. I started dating this guy that my friends introduced me to, Dean. He was super cool. He had tattoos all over and rode a motorcycle. But one day he drove me home and they saw him. My mom went out, started yelling, lashing out at him, calling him names and threatening to call the police if she sees him again. Then and there I decided, what the hell? Why do I even bother trying to please them? I laughed, told her good luck with that, hopped on the motorcycle again, and we drove away. I heard my mom shouting like crazy from a distance, and it felt so good. I felt free. But my adventures didn't end there. We went to his home and stayed there for the whole evening. My parents wrote me like a dozen messages. You have 5 minutes. If you don't come back, don't bother coming back home at all. I read them out loud to Dean and we laughed. I took a picture of his home filled with smoke and these dark paintings on the wall and sent them and saying, I won't. My dad saw it and started calling me nonstop. I thought about blocking him, really, but it just felt so good to see them going crazy. Maybe they'll know how I felt living under their roof and following their rules. And then I saw a tattoo machine on the table in Dean's home, and I had an amazing idea. Now, I really wish I wouldn't have. He told me that he does tattoos on his friends at his home. So I suggested, and why not do it on me? Even better, why not do it on someone he's never done before? Just a little above my private parts. He got excited too. We decided it should be a badass pair of wings since I was finally free. So he started tattooing. And I nearly cried. It hurt so much, but I didn't want to be seen as a crybaby. So I tried to suffer in silence. And after a couple of hours, it was done. And honestly, I never felt more alive and happy. We heard a car pull up. I looked through the window and saw my parents. What the hell? Dean looked scared. He started mumbling look, I don't want any trouble. No problems with the police, So I came out to talk to them alone. So my father took my hand and seated me in the car by force. Then I found out that he had a tracker on my phone. We came home. My parents started shouting that I should start packing my stuff, but I didn't care. I had the most amazing evening and a secret that they would never know. My father just told me to go to my room, and as soon as I got in, he locked the doors. I mean, like, seriously? They were keeping me in prison. I was laying in my bed, hearing them scream, but I still felt happy. I felt like I'd won. Until morning when I started feeling an itch. I checked my tattoo and saw that it had started to swell. Like, what is happening? I tried showering, but it wasn't helping. I tried calling Dean, but he literally blocked me. Like, have I made a mistake? I tried calming down, stayed in my bed for the whole day. My parents didn't even check on me. They were probably deciding how to punish me, and it was getting worse and worse. What do I do? I can't tell them. I felt waves of heat and cold. I started to shiver. By the next morning, it felt like a nightmare. My mom came to see what I was doing and immediately called emergency. It was all blurry. I remember seeing my mom take some of my clothes and putting them into my backpack. I felt alone and miserable. Dean left me. My mom was packing my stuff. They're gonna leave me all alone in the hospital, sick? And I didn't even know what was happening to me. I remember Dean's dirty home, and I've read on the internet, oh my God, he could have given me HIV or hepatitis. The doctor started asking me all of these questions. I felt so embarrassed and scared. I didn't want to tell him about the tattoo and where I had it, but I had no choice. So I showed him. I wanted to die of embarrassment. It turns out my tattoo was infected, but I should get better eventually. I mean, he told me to stay in the hospital for a while until the fever comes down and prescribed me antibiotics. I was laying in the hospital bed crying, sobbing because I felt so alone. The stuff that my mom packed was sitting on the floor, and here I was, alone, homeless. My life felt like a nightmare until I saw my mom talking to the doctor in the hall. She came into my room and I was so confused. I was sure that she left. I was mumbling through my tears, like, I thought you threw me out. And her face just looked worried. She actually smiled at me and told me, like, don't be silly. And then she hugged me. Like, I don't think I remember the last time she hugged me. Even though my parents were strict as hell during the most horrific evening of my life, they stayed by my side. Like, they loved me. They took care of me. I managed to tell them sorry and eventually fell asleep seeing two loving faces in front of me. I had damaged my body irreversibly, and I won't be able to erase this horrific image from my private parts. But at least I learned that the ones that truly love you will stick with you for better or for worse. Even though right now all of us are too embarrassed to talk about my tattoo, I hope that one day we'll be able to laugh about all of this.